I request everyone to stay on mute. And for people watching us through YouTube Live, if you got any query to ask, you can drop them in the live chat window. We'll be picking up from there. With these things out of our way, let me formally introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Ms. Kanika Jindal, a graduate student at University of Southern California. She has completed summer internship at Microsoft and recently took up the role of AI and data science associate intern at JP Morgan. She has completed her undergraduate in computer science from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University in 2019 and has later worked as software engineer for a year and a half in Sopra Steria company before moving to US for graduate studies. She has many achievements under her belt, including serving as senator at Viterbi Graduate Student Association and is also a member of female musical choir of USC Thornton Music School. Truly an inspiring profile, ma'am. It is our pleasure to have you here to clear all our student doubts about MS and job opportunities in US. So firstly, let us start the session by hearing about your experience about as a graduate student in USC and living in US in general.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, Larry, for such a warm introduction. And really glad that I could make it to this session. And thank you for the invitation and reaching out. As Larry mentioned, I moved to US in 2021, and it has been around 2 years since I am here now. And people might tell you that, or you might see it from the social media that it's a charming world here. But let me tell you, it's not as charming as it sounds like. There are a lot of struggles that goes behind everything that people here achieve or you see on the gram or on the media. I see a lot of questions that are coming in through the doc, and really excited to answer all of those questions because those are the questions that I also had when I was into your phase, when I was applying to the universities and doing all of it. But Larry has already mentioned all of my timeline, what I did and when I did, and it was pretty clear. So I will not utilize more time on that. We can move forward, Larry. Thank you.
Yes. So let us move forward with the questions. So firstly, I would like to ask the questions regarding the admission process, and then we'll move on to the job opportunities.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So this particular question has been posed the most to us. So let me ask you right away. So can you brief about the timeline and the steps involved in the graduate admissions for masters in US?
There are 2 sessions that basically every university has. They are the fall semesters and the spring semesters. Different universities have different timeline, but you can, in most of the US universities, I will be talking about US universities because in my experience, I have researched more about them and not other countries. So in US, mostly all of the schools have either a fall semester or a spring semester or both. So USC, University of Southern California, where I am doing my computer science master's degree from, they had 3 semesters where we can start from: a spring semester, a summer semester, and a fall semester. So the timeline that looks for different semesters when you want to start is different for everybody. So for me, for example, I joined in spring, and when I started preparing for it was like an year ago. I started putting into the seeds into my thought process that, okay, I want to do this. And I started researching about the universities, about where to get the resources from and where to study from. Started reaching out to people on LinkedIn or started attending seminars like you are doing today. And started doing all of that a year ago from my start date. And within 2-3 months, I had a good idea about where I want to be, where I want to go, what I want to do when I'm in US. And I had my goals pretty clear that this is the universities that I target. This is the GPA that I have. And to boost my profile more, I have to achieve this much GRE score, this much TOEFL score, and all of that. So there are 2 exams. that you have to give to come to the US universities. Basically, the GRE exam and the TOEFL exam. Some of the students also take IELTS exam, which is helpful in case you want to target like Canadian universities as well. But US schools generally they accept both, but TOEFL is preferred. So the preparation for GRE and TOEFL, both of them looks like you can think like it'll take like not more than 2 months to prepare for both of them. It is basically what you read in your what you studied in your undergrad. It's like if I put in 2 words, it's simpler than that. It's like basic mathematics and a little bit of English, which needs to be like done. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. I can tell you that. So that can be done. And a TOEFL exam or an IELTS exam doesn't take a lot of time. It takes like a month of a preparation, and you're good to go. So when we were in a 12 months of a timeline, right? So 3 months went into the research, 3 months went into preparation. Now we have 6 months left. Within those 6 months, what you're gonna do in the first half is book off your like GRE exam or TOEFL exam. They keep on happening every now and then. There's no like particular date that you have to attempt it on. You can attempt it on your flexibility. Whenever you are ready to give it, you should be giving it. Within those 6 months, the last 6 months, I also started thinking about what I want to write into my statement of purpose, where I want to get my LORs from, and like all of the documentation that I have to prepare, basically my university degree, my mark sheets, my previous degrees, and everything that I have on my papers. So I slowly and steadily, like, along with the preparation and exam giving, I was like preparing for all of that as well. Once you are like done with that, you can like give your exam. Once you're done with your exam, I started my SOP like early in the stage, within the first month. And every month or every day, whenever I'm like doing anything, I get a thought that, okay, I want to edit this portion of it. I think this is a good thing that I should mention. So I literally took 12 months to write my SOP, you can say. And that is a good plan, because it's in my perspective, if you sit like once and you're thinking like for a week, what should I write in a SOP? Maybe you're not into your creative head, but if you give like 12 months to it, you will be in your creative head, like somewhere or some portion of it, while going in a train or a bus or somewhere on the subway, or while eating a pakora or something. You will be in that zone, and just take out your phone and edit it. And that's how I did it. And so my SOPs were ready by the time I was ready to apply. Application deadlines looks like for spring semester, the application deadlines are generally in October, November, and December. Most of them lies in November end and December 1st to 2nd week. And so I prepared my GRE and TOEFL scores in such a way that I have everything ready by October. So I gave my exams in September mid, and I got my scores in October first week. Everything was sorted. And I think like because of pandemic, there are a lot of schools that have waived off GRE or TOEFL, so you can take advantage from that as well, because it actually doesn't matter a lot on your papers that how much like if the school has waived off, then you should be giving GRE. For like prestigious schools, it might be a case that they're required, but if you're an exceptional profile, they're not required at all, so you can save your time there. So that was my timeline. I finished everything by October, applied and submitted my applications by like whenever they were opening. As soon as they opened, the same day I used to like just sit and apply to them, because I was having everything that I need to apply. Also, like for the SOPs, you need to edit them for each of the schools. So I already had my goal set, that what universities I want to target. So when I was preparing my SOP, I already knew that what I want to change for different universities. There's like research that goes on, that goes into what you want to write for each of the school. For example, professor names or any research that's going on in that, or any class that you are like excited about. For example, at USC, I was really excited about the AR/VR course that they offer. So I wrote that into my SOP, that I am really excited about about this course, and there was one professor whose research was aligned to my research as well at that time. So I wrote about that, and it really helps in long run. Like when you enter into the university, you can pitch to the professor in such a way that I wrote your name into my SOP, and I hope that you can like support me in proceeding my research or something like that. So that's how. And once you apply and get all of that, you start receiving your you start receiving your like admits pretty quickly. So actually, the October, November, December timeline that I told, that is for the fall semester and not for the spring semester. I'm really sorry about that, because I applied to the fall semester, and because of the pandemic, I had to shift my studies 6 months later to spring, and that's how I got into spring. So for the spring semester, you can shift everything back to 6 months. So October goes back to 6 months back, and December goes 6 months back. So it's like April, May, June that you can target for spring, and for fall you can target October, November, December. And once you have all of that, you start receiving your admits within a month. And once you have your admits, you have to just like quickly within a month book your visa, book visa appointments, and which is right now very difficult to get, I can say, because of the pandemic, the different embassies have closed appointments, so it's like really difficult to get appointments right now. So people usually, they used to like target a month to get a visa, but now they target like 3 months to get a visa because it's really difficult to get an appointment. So once you get your appointment and you get your visa done, there's nothing else left. Book your flights and come to the US. That's all of the timeline. So you can assume like it takes around 1 year to 1.5 years, depending upon how what's your pace to do the things. And if you are in your 4th year and you want to like pursue your master's as soon as you finish your undergraduate studies. So that means you will be finishing your studies in May or June, and you want to start the fall semester, which starts in August. So I would suggest that you should start your preparation before you start your 4th year in college. And you should be targeting in such a way that, okay, 4th year needs to be just for my applications and where I want to go next. That's all of the timeline. Sorry, that was a lengthy answer.
No, it was pretty clear. Thank you for that. So I think since you mentioned spring and fall intakes, we got a quick question from the YouTube Live. So they're asking if there are any differences between the fall and spring intake, like the number of intakes also.
Sure. So as I mentioned, not all of the universities offer spring and fall intake, both of them. But in my opinion, like I applied for fall semester, but I went through pandemic and all of that, and I deferred it to spring. I could have deferred it to the next fall as well. Why didn't I do it? So the reason for that was I talked to a lot of people, and what they told me at the universities are like, if you're coming for the fall semester, and this is what I have experienced now, like since I am a student here, so I can see what's the difference. According to me, in my point of view, a spring semester is a better semester because you get time to adjust to the new culture, to the new country, and the way you study here, or the way assignments work here, or the way preparations or interviews work here, they're totally different than that in India. So you need your time. You need time to settle into a new country as well. There are people who get homesick really quick as well. So you need time to be into your state where you can say that, okay, I want to interview now. I am ready to interview. So that's why I chose spring semester, because I thought that it's a good head start to get a 6 months where I can like also explore my abilities and learn about the things that how things go in the US. And there'll be plenty of time where I can like apply for the jobs. So if you come for a fall semester, you come in August, you start in August or September. So that is the peak time when interviews and when job openings start. So even for your internship, like for a spring semester, for a spring semester person, you're gonna do your internship in your second year. For a fall semester, you're gonna start your internship before the start of your second semester, which is like both of the semesters are same for spring and fall, both of them. In my opinion, like as I mentioned, for fall people, you come in August, September. As soon as you come, you don't have time to settle in the US. You don't have time. You are struggling, you need your grades, you need your interviews, everything needs to be aligned. But if you get that 6 month start from the spring, you are settled, you know how to get the grades, you know how to study, you know how to you have prepped for your interview, you have talked to a lot of people, you have listened to a lot of experiences. So spring is that's the difference between spring and fall.
Yeah. So I think that answers the question. So moving on, so people have asked what the top schools like USC or UT Austin they generally consider while considering the admissions. So what they look for in the students.
To be very honest, like if I want to mention about this, it is dependent upon the schools. It is totally like subjective question, depending upon which school you want to target to. There are schools which just look at GRE score. There are schools which just look at GPA. There are schools which look at your holistic profile, what you have done. There are schools which just look at your like research, what you have done and what is your ongoing research so that it aligns with the school as well. So it's definitely very subjective, but for USC, I can tell it's kind of a GPA centric school. And if you have a good GPA and you're like kind of like top of your class, top 5% in your undergrads, then it'll be like if you have a little research and a good GPA, USC is a good school. If you have like a good GRE score and you like you have a decent GPA and you have like decent experience in research, universities like UTD or NEU, these are like good universities to target. So it's all subjective.
Okay, so another question regarding the GRE. So, as you've mentioned, many top schools have waived off the GRE due to the pandemic. So, what do you suggest? Do you suggest them to take the exam, or and another follow-up question is will the home GRE affect anyway in the admission process?
So when I gave my GRE, there was no concept of home GRE, but so I have no experience on that. But what I have heard from the other students who have taken home GRE, there is no such like thing where you are like you're not at par with the students who are taking it in the center. So you can definitely take it at home, but that is not my personal experience. So I cannot like firmly make any comment on that. Regarding whether you should be giving GRE if your school has waived it off, you can like at when I gave USC's application when I was applying, it was still like a waived off thing, but I still applied because I thought that it might be an additional way where people like the admission council can determine my eligibility for the school. So for example, if there are like two students and both of you are like doing excel in everything, and as I mentioned, like USC is a GPA centric, what if there comes a chance where there's only one seat left and two of you are like fighting over it? What if the other student has not submitted a GRE and you have a GRE score? What if your GRE score is better than the other student? So that might be like a turning point in your application. So because of that, I didn't want to like leave any part of my application undone, and I did that. But definitely, I have seen students who are getting into different prestigious schools without giving GRE. So go for it if you want to give it a shot.
Okay. So another, I think you've answered this question. You said the universities are specific about what criteria they are considering. So some are GPA centric, some are GRE centric. So just a general question. Suppose there are some GRE centric top schools. Will a 310 to 315 GRE score be good enough?
That's again a subjective question because I don't know any school which just looks at GRE because it's just like the 10% of your profile. The 90% of it is what you have done on your resume and your other parts of your profile. So a 10%, a decent score would be anything above 320. A good score is anything above 320. A decent score is anything above 310, I think. And if you are above 310, you should like target good schools. If you are above 320, you should target better schools. And if you are at par with everyone, like best in your thing, then go for the prestigious schools. But definitely, I don't think so. Schools consider it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. So another question, now that suppose people are done with all the documents, they have given the GRE and TOEFL exams, how do they shortlist the colleges? Because there are way too many colleges and too many opinions on online. So what are some of the tips while shortlisting the colleges?
Yeah, that's a very nice question because I also struggled with that a lot, that where to go and what to target. So first things first, go for the location probably. Where do you want to be? Where do you feel comfortable at? So I have like spent my time now on both on the East Coast and the West Coast. And I can definitely like, from my perspective, I can say that I don't like East Coast, I like West Coast. Probably that's also because I went to West Coast like before, but there's like quite different vibes to each of the state. The weather is quite different in each of the state. There are people who don't do well in the winter season. There are people who don't do well in the summer season. So look where you want to, like what you want to do, because the 2 years that you have, you're going to spend in that state. And if it's not according to what suits your mind, then there's no point, like you won't be able to concentrate on your work. So definitely go for the weather where you want to be. Second, look for the tuition fee. So there are good schools, but the good schools also charge hefty amount of money. And so I know like everybody cannot afford it, and even like the loan providers do not provide with such a big loan that you can afford it. So, and also the ROI that people look into after going into school, that after 2 years, how much I'm going to earn, how much time it's going to take to repay my loan, or how much money my parents or myself is we are putting into it. So looking at all of that, I think that should be the second criteria, that what is the fee structure at a school. The third criteria should definitely be what courses does the school offer for your course. And looking into that, like I have seen like different schools, like while I was researching, I went into the course schedule of every school, and I knew that if I am going to the school, I'm going to take these courses. If I'm going to the school, I'm going to take these courses. So if you're going to do that, that's going to help you in a long run as well, because you're going to plan your 2 years wisely, and you'll know what you're going to go through all the subjects. So that should be like the third criteria, I think. Am I paused for you?
No, you're not.
Okay. For me, I am paused. That's weird. Okay, sorry to interrupt. The third thing, I was saying, go for the subjects. The fourth thing should be if you are like the other factors that you might be knowing, like from different websites or something like that. That should be your fourth criteria to go for a selection.
Okay. I think this is one of the most popular questions that people are asked. Do NIT and IIT tags affect our chances for the graduate admission?
An IIT tag will definitely. I'm not sure about an NIT tag, but yeah, it'll help in a long run, because I've seen companies prioritizing people based on IITs as well. So
this is the case even in the US.
Yes, okay. They have like for each of the country, they have a separate list of top tier schools, and if your school is in that school, definitely you get a privilege.
Okay, got it. Generally in the US, what places do most of the Indian students go for MS? Like we can see a lot of Indian students go to this particular state. So what are those places?
It's like, I don't know, like, but all of the universities that I have visited, I have seen a lot of Indian students everywhere. So that cannot be like measured where students go the most.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of students in my school and around California. I've seen a lot of students around East Coast, who goes to like Rochester, NYU, or NJIT, and all of that. I have seen people going to Texas for the different universities of Texas, and to Florida. It's like it's distributed evenly, I think. It's not a case where you want to go.
Okay. Okay. Now that you've mentioned about the GRE, the TOEFL, and the other parts of the profile, so people want to know the extracurricular activities or the NCC, NSS, or the volunteer. Do all these affect the admission chances, and to how much extent?
So definitely, I have no idea how admission councils see this, but I have seen like people adding this to their resume and getting into good universities. So if you are showing that you have been into a leadership position, you have collaborated in a team, you have volunteered, that shows different aspects of your profile. And in United States, it matters a lot. Your like what you're reading into your books doesn't matter. What you're experiencing, what your experiences are, that matters a lot. So definitely, if you have those, a perk. If you don't have it, but you have time to get into those things and get it on your resume, do it. If you don't have time and you cannot get it on your resume, build other parts of your resume.
Okay, got it. So we have a question in the meet. So Nitish is asking, is language proficiency test just a criteria, or is there any scholarship or preference given if we score high on it?
It's just a criteria to come to the United States. It's just like they check, can you speak English?
Yeah. Okay.
That's all.
So I think we can move on to the job opportunities part of the. So how do we apply to jobs in US after masters? So again, too many companies, too many opportunities. So what is the process like?
So definitely too many companies, too many opportunities. And I want to correct your question here. It's not after masters. It's while you do your masters that you apply for your jobs.
Yeah, true.
Because if you do it after, you will be out of your visa state. You just get 90 days to finish it. So definitely you want to apply it before. And people apply it, but as I mentioned, in their first semester, they start applying. First they apply for internships, and then they apply for full time. So it's just like every semester you're just applying. That's what you do in your masters, I think. So how do you select companies? First, basically on the role that you want to do. So some people want to target program management, some wants to target data science, computer science, electrical. There are too many fields that you want to go into. Once you know what companies, what role you want to go to, select the select the companies which are on the top of that, because definitely if you're in the US, you're struggling a lot and you want to be into the top companies and you don't want to like settle for less. At least that was my agenda. I didn't want to settle for less. I wanted like whatever I'm doing, I want to target the best, go for the best. So how I selected was, I want to go for computer science, I want to go for data science, AI, machine learning. After going through that, I went to the LinkedIn, Google, checked about different top companies, top 5, top 10, went and applied to all of them. Once I'm done with that, it's almost around 50, 60 companies already on my resume, on my application where I have applied to. Now go to the second tier where the top 20 companies come, the other top 20, the top 50. And you want to apply to startups as well, because if you're in like a place like California, there are like too many startups where you can work into, and the opportunities are a lot. I also feel that because of pandemic, I genuinely feel that it doesn't matter where you're coming from, because the interviews are gonna be like in the past, the interviews were like in person. So companies preferred students who are in the Bay Area or people who are in San Francisco or in California to come to the Californian companies. But right now it's all like virtual, like we are doing it. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from, which university. So go for startups, apply for them, because while people like apply for companies, they also have this mindset that they don't want to leave any part of it. Like any opportunity that they can see, they will apply to it. So that's how like intensive it is. So I myself applied to 300 or 400 companies. I tried maintaining an Excel about it, but I lost track of it after one point. But yeah, definitely I have applied to 300 to 400 companies, and most of them were rejects. So that's how life is here.
Okay, got it. Now, another question. So this is regarding the master's part. So as you say, master's in US is considered one of the most expensive affairs, especially for Indians. So what is an average expense that a student has to bear for a 2-year master's? An average, of course, it depends on the school. Mm-hmm. And how do we get on the part-time jobs to fund our tuition?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, it definitely depends on school. If you're going to a public university or a private university, I'll segregate in that way and tell you the average for both of them. A general average for living cost for each of the state, it's different. So if you're going to live on the West Coast, which is the California part of it, if you're going to live there, the 2 years living cost should be around, it's around $1,500, around $1,500 if you live a luxurious life. Then it's otherwise it's gonna be like you can manage in $1,000 as well. I think 1,000 to 1,200. That per month into 24 you can do, and then into 80. That is going to be the living cost for California side. If you go to the New York side or on the East Coast, the expenses are a little higher, I feel, and you pay like a little more rent. I am not sure how much it is, but I think it's similar. But if you go to the states which are in like middle, the cost of living there is like pretty cheap. So if you go to like, for example, Arizona or Texas, the cost of living is really cheap. And if you go to states like North Carolina, South Carolina, so you can expect like somewhere around $800 to $900 is what you pay with the food, the living cost in those states. So again, into 24, into 80, you can do the math. And that's the living cost. If you want to know like for the public and private universities, the average fees that you get, there are certain scholarships that I will like to say. So for example, USC also has certain scholarships that they provide. And with those scholarships, you can even like pay your whole tuition fees without paying a single penny to the United States or to the university. So that is an option. If you don't get those scholarships for the public university, the cost of total education is going to be around 20 to 25 lakh. That's the cost of education, I think. And it can be even lesser if you're going to like a public university, which is quite famous. But if you go to a private university, the cost is going to be around more than 40 to 50 lakhs. And Stanford is a private school. I would like to mention that.
Yeah.
So private schools here are like prestigious schools, and they charge a lot of money. Yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you. So now that like in the news, we've seen a lot of news about the inflation and the prediction of recession that is about to happen in a couple of years.
Yes.
So how is it going to affect the job market in the US? So if people are going right now, will it go affect their chances? So that's the question.
I can answer that on basis of what's happening right now, because I do not know what's go into the future, and I've never like experienced touchwood a recession in my career. So what's happening right now is there is already like a job crunch in the market, and students are struggling a lot to get jobs. And there are a lot of companies. For example, I work for Microsoft, and I know the internal what's going on. So there's a complete job freeze in Microsoft. They're not even hiring like a single employee, and they're on like budget crunch and everything, because companies are now preparing for recession. I think like while they are in the recession, they'll be preparing for the next 2 years, which will be out of the recession. So they will be like looking forward to how we gonna like bump our like companies more or something like that. So I don't know what's going into the bureaucracy there, but I think that should be their mindset, because now they're preparing for recession too. Like, so they should be preparing for after recession later on. So you should be fine. But with the current situation as well, there are a lot of students who are cracking a lot of interviews and lot of getting a lot of opportunities or multiple opportunities. So it totally depends upon what's your timeline in masters is. So if you're applying on the correct time, you're applying correctly through referrals or through job portals, then you should be fine. I think there are ample of opportunities here. You should not be worried about it.
Okay, so now that we are talking about jobs, can you briefly differentiate how job interviews in US are different from those of in India, because you've worked in both the countries?
You mean the job rules?
The interview pattern and the interview session.
Oh, okay. I see. So for the interviews, when in India I was interviewing, I interviewed through the what it's called, to the career council of my college, and they brought the companies to the college, and those companies had a quota defined that these many students are going to be selected from this college, and that's how things work in India, I think.
Yeah.
And but for the US, first of all, the companies don't come to the university. You have to go out in the market and apply yourself. And there are definitely career fairs, but career fairs are also just your opportunity to talk to the recruiters, and it doesn't guarantee you a job or anything. The interviews that goes into both of the countries, in India, the interviews are more aligned. They are technical, but since I gave all the interviews when I was a fresher, so they are more aligned to just like if you're like going to do like a technical job or something like that. So not a top tier company. I'm not talking about a top tier company like a Fangam or something like that. But the other companies, they generally give you a question and you have to solve it. You can like do it in a way that like it's a 30-40 minutes interview where it's fine, like even if you don't perform well. But in US, every company has a Fangam kind of a interview level, and there are like companies. So every company, first of all, they will, as soon as you apply, the first screening is for most of the companies is an OA, which is called an online assessment test, which is basically a hacker rank or a coding platform where you have like 3 to 4 questions and you have to like code through them. Sometimes they are proctored, sometimes they are not. In India, I have given online assessments. I think I gave it for several companies, and definitely the criteria to be selected in Indian job market is also dependent upon where you're doing your undergrad from. That is totally different in US. It doesn't depend where your university is or which university you are from, which college you're from, what rank is it at. Doesn't depend on it. Just depend on how you do on your online assessment and on your interviews. Talking about the interviews part of it, like where you are actually meeting the recruiter, I think that portion is same both in India and in the US. But in the US, they also expect you to code like you do in India, like on a whiteboard or something. In an online test, they ask you to type it out in your notepad. The behavioral rounds are pretty same in every company, I believe, whether in India or in the US. And I also believe that in India, all the US market that is there, the headquarters in US, they have their companies or their locations in India as well, and they're constantly hiring. So the interview process doesn't look different for any of it. It's same, almost same.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, a common question that we've seen, people are confused with this. Could you please enlighten us about the F1 visa and the H1B visa?
Okay. So an F1 visa is a visa that you get as a student. So if you want to like go to a university, the visa that you get is an F1 visa, which is a visa having an like expiration date until your studies. and then you get an OPT. You get an OPT, which is a 1-year extension to do the job into the market. If you are doing a STEM degree, which is like science, technology, engineering, mathematics, then you get a 2-year extension on that. So you basically, after your master's, you can do 3 years of job without being worried about any other visa change. So that is F1 visa. And H1B visa is when you are employed in the United States, and the process to get an H1B is totally different from an F1 visa. So for an F1 visa, you need an admit from a school, and then you can get it. For an H1B visa, you need an employer in the US who's paying you the equal amount of money that's like the US citizens are getting, or something like that. So that's H1B. And once you get an H1B, I think it's like the employment. You can be employed for years on that. There's no expiration date as far as I know, but I am not sure. Also, like there's a third kind of visa that people generally come from India. So that's called an L1 visa. I don't know how many of you know about it, but an L1 visa is a visa for an intern. L1 or a J1. Both of them, I think, they are for an intern, or if you want to like come for a training purpose or just for a short span of your program, that's called an J1 or an L1 visa. So you can come on that. Generally, people come on those visas when they have like a job ongoing in India. So for example, Amazon has a policy that after 1 year of your working from any country, you can switch your country and go to any country if they have a vacancy there in your team. So for Amazon, if you work in India for 1 year, you can then ask for an L1 visa or J1 visa and come to the United States directly if they have like vacancies and everything aligns with your profile. So that's the other criteria that you can come to US. And then later, these L1, J1 visa gets converted to H1B slowly and steadily. That means you are an employee that you are employed in US.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, the following two questions are specific to the computer science domain. So let me quickly ask you. So could you suggest any websites or YouTube channels to follow to stay updated on the current technologies or research happening in the domain?
If you want to like go into the research part of it, I would suggest go to the journals.
Yeah.
I basically do not follow any fun YouTube channel. I just search for whatever I want to read about or what I want to what I want to know about. And Google is like vast, so you will know where what you want to get, but you should know what you want to search first. So that's how I want to put it. There's no particular channel or anything that I followed. But for computer science, definitely, if you are not doing it, start doing LeetCode. LeetCode is the website which people preach here, and every now and then, in and out of your life, you will just be LeetCoding every day, and people talk in LeetCode languages here. So for example, if you go through an interview, they will ask you, was it a LeetCode easy? What was it, a LeetCode medium, or was it a LeetCode hard question? So that's how people talk here. So in your job interviews as well, you will get like most of the questions are from the LeetCode. So that's one website where you should be focusing upon. Brush up your programming skills if you're a computer science major.
Thank you for that. Now that you are experienced with the DS, data science, AI, ML, so any particular resources you want to share for people who want to learn it?
Definitely, but again, I will say that it's not specific for me. I do not go through one resource at all. But how I started into and how I stepped into AI and machine learning. So when I was in my undergrad, I started taking Udemy courses and also the Coursera courses. And there are like Coursera courses which are like really good from, for example, from the Andrew Ng course, the machine learning course. That's the course that we got taught at University of Southern California. So if you take a machine learning class at University of Southern California, it is almost similar to that Coursera course. All the mathematics that goes into that is what they teach you here as well. So I definitely did a lot of those courses during my undergrad, and that gave me an idea about how things go into AI and ML. And when I was in US, like when I am in university, I I still like use those learns from my courses here in the classes. So they're definitely helpful. And to mention, if you are not doing just do some projects, go to different websites, see where people are like, what people are building. GitHub is a good resource to do that. Kaggle is a good resource to do that. And if you want to like be into data science, just like build something, get some data set and try to like what we call it build stories around it. So build stories around your data set and see how you can play with it. That would be a good practice.
Okay, so we have a question from the audience here. So it says, I'm looking for an undergraduate transfer the next fall. What are the chances and scholarships available for a transfer student?
I am not sure about it.
Okay.
Because I will not answer it because I don't know about undergrad, and how I have seen things working around it is the opportunities are same, the scholarship opportunities, and if you are a transfer student, then you're gonna like be in the campus in the middle of the semester, I believe, and that shouldn't be a like problem to get a scholarship because every semester colleges roll out scholarships, so the chances are equal. I should say that probably, but I'm not sure.
So, on what basis do we get scholarships? Like, what do they consider?
Definitely your profile. So, if you are going for a school which is research based, if your research is what the school wants to do, then you are like free to study there because that's what school wants to achieve. So that's one criteria. The other criteria can be the grades that you have in your undergrad. So some universities definitely give you scholarships based on that. But statement of purpose for most of the universities is the criteria to get the scholarship.
Thank you for that. I think I have a personal question here. So, regarding the statement of purpose SOPs, for people who are just starting out, where to start? I mean, do we have to reach out to a few students studying in that particular schools and go through their SOPs and then try to do ours? So, yeah.
That's a good question because I also didn't know where to start from, what to write. And for the statement of purpose, I would definitely say read through different statement of purposes that are there on the internet, or if you can get someone's, that is also fine, but you should not use that as an inspiration to write yours because every statement of purpose is different. If you don't write your own unique story or unique passions, how will the university know that you are a different person? That's how I will like to put it. So even if you want to read, I personally never read anybody's or any of my friends or seniors SOP because I didn't want to get influence to that thing that, okay, this person wrote this, so I should also write this. I just took inspiration for the English or the language that I have to put into the SOP. And once I have my point, I had my pointers ready that this is all I want to write. I need like language to stitch them up. And for those, I read SOPs. I didn't read it for inspiration about a particular school or something like that. To write about a school, their website or their research platform is a good way to read about it. And that is what you should follow, I think.
Okay, thank you for that. So, if there are any questions from the audience, you can just post it in the live chat. We'll be taking up from there. So, another question is, while suppose we got the admit and we are coming to the US, we are done with the visa process, what are some of the things that people need to take care of? Like any things that they need to keep in mind while coming to the US based on your experience?
Packing?
Yeah.
Should be my first answer.
Yeah.
But because once you have your visa and your ticket, packing is the thing that you should be doing. And it's like you're starting your life again. So you need to be into that mental state, first of all. and second, you need to have stuff. So when I was coming here, definitely packing was hectic, and it's hectic for everyone. But one tip I would like to give you is don't stress about packing, because everything is available here. Even if you forget some parts of it, it's fine. Anyway, you're going to use it in like a span of 2 years. So you don't know when you're going to need it. When you're going to need it, just buy it in the US. So that's how things go here. So packing should be your other concerns. How you're going to do it.
Okay, thank you.
And finding a room where you're going to live.
Yes. Any more questions? Just let me have a quick look.
There's a question in the chat about how's your life in USC.
Yeah.
So I have a YouTube channel where I try to document everything that that happens within my day in and day out. So definitely go check it out if you want to learn about how is my life at USC. All my videos are definitely aligned with that. I'll put the link in the I'll put the link in the chat window soon. Or that is how my life in USC is probably just getting up every day, going through the assignments that we get, because the assignments are really hectic, and prepare for the next exam, apply to jobs, explore the cities on weekends. So definitely I am in the California area, the LA area, which is the Hollywood part of United States. It's a beautiful area. So on weekends, I want to like explore the surroundings, and that's what I do on weekends. On weekdays, I'm mostly like attending classes or doing different parts of the school. So also like classes in US are not specific on a specific time, so it depends on the professor what they want to schedule it at. So there's no 9 to 5 or 2 to 8 or something like that of a schedule in a college. Your classes can be at 10 p.m. or your classes can be at 7 a.m. So I had classes which were like full day classes. So how we define a full day class is we have class at 9 a.m. To 11 a.m. Then we have class at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Then we have class at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. or sometimes 11 p.m. So it's a full day class, for example, because once we are in the university, we're going to like do it. The other parts is cooking food. So that's also a major portion of what I do in USC, because for example, I am a vegetarian, and a lot of people have this question as well, that how do vegetarians survive in the United States? So it's not a problem. Again, I would like to say it, if I am doing it, anybody can do it. So there are a lot of vegan options and vegetarian options in the United States. And if you are comfortable eating that, eat probably, but personally, I don't feel like eating out every day, and it also saves a lot of money if you cook your own food. So I didn't know how to cook, but definitely the situation made me learn how to cook, and now I can cook a decent amount of food and which tastes decent. So I think you should all be doing that. Learn cooking if you can before coming here. A little bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The situation teaches us a lot.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So another question is, any suggestions to students who are planning to come on an education loan?
If you are coming on an education loan, first of all, don't think that you're taking a loan to come here. That should be like the first thing I should say, because I have seen people stressing about it a lot, that I have a loan of 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs, or a complete education loan of 70 lakhs. And they get worried about just thinking about it, and they cannot focus on the other parts of their masters. So I would say, like, don't worry about the loan. Everybody repays it somehow. And if you're in a good situation where you know you have your internships, where you know you have your jobs, then you should be able to repay it. But if you know that you don't have a job, then it's the point of concern, then you should be worried. But if you know that you will have a job, or you are into a good university, then a good university that doesn't confirm you a job though. But if you're in a good university, or if you are studying good, you know you're in and out. Everybody knows what they know and what they don't by their heart. So I know what I know, and that's how you should think about the loan. Should not be worried about it's a hefty loan or something. That's how I would like to put it. And there are several loans that you can get. don't stress about the interest rate as well. I've seen students struggle for 1% or 2%. That 1% or 2% can be covered through if you are like, if you're living a 2-year life. When I came here, the dollar conversion was 70 and now it's 80. That 1%, 2% is like balanced here. So don't stress about that as well. That's my personal opinion. I have seen a lot of students getting stressed about it. So just wanted to mention it.
Thank you for that. Can we have a quick overview about your experience at Microsoft and JP Morgan? So we'd love to hear that.
Definitely. So working at Microsoft was a different experience. It was always my dream to work into the top company. And when I was like the first day that I was in Microsoft office, and that is the headquarters office I was in, I couldn't believe, first of all, and I was like overwhelmed by just looking at the Microsoft sign. And that is me. I'm an emotional fool, and I get too touched by things. So the 3 months that I spent at Microsoft, I learned a lot of different technologies. Every big company has their own internal technologies that they work on to, and their internal tools. So I was working with one of those, and it's always it always doesn't depend on what your resume says, but it depends upon what the team wants. So it may be like for me, it was a case that I had no experiences in technologies that they asked me to do a project on, but that is a learning opportunity there. That is why you intern. So I had a very nice experience at Microsoft. I am currently at JP Morgan. This is the JP Morgan office that you see behind me. That building is the JP Morgan building, and this is the JP Morgan cafeteria that I'm sitting in. Experience at JP Morgan, it's a fintech company. It's not a technology-based company like Microsoft. So definitely the experience here is totally different. People here like talk in stocks, or people here talk in finance, which I was not used to. And that's why I took up this as my second internship, because it helps me explore my different portions, like different abilities, what I can do. And that's why I took up this job after Microsoft. So both of the companies are best in what they do, and the experience I am having, or I had at both of these companies, is extremely, extremely amazing, and I'm grateful for it every day.
That's awesome. So a question from one of the students. How do people transfer money from US to India?
I have never transferred money from US to India. But if you want to do it, there are several ways. There's something called Flywire, which is Flywire basically transfers your money from one country to another country. And there are other platforms like Western Union, I think, where again you can transfer your money. There are apps and third parties like Remitly. So it all depends upon who is providing you with the best conversion rate. And if you are like fine with that, you just transfer from one bank account, a US bank account, to an Indian bank account through that. I have personally like transferred some amount of money through Google Pay from US to India, but it was just a test. So I just transferred like a $10 from one account to another account in India, and that also works. So it's not a long procedure to do that, and it's the same if you want to get money from India to US. So that I have done a lot of times, and it's the same that you just initiate a Flywire from India to US, and it will come to your account in 2 to 3 days. You just need a bank account both in both the countries. That's all.
I think that's all with the questions part. I think we can wrap up the session. Thank you so much, Kanika, for accepting our invite and joining us and giving your insights into a lot of things regarding MS and job opportunities in US. Super grateful for you. Okay, thank you for sharing your YouTube channel. We'll be sharing it with our students as well.
I think I shared your link. So I'm going to share my link again.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We'll share it with the students.
Yeah, I'm promoting a seminar.
Thank you for that. And thank you so much for taking out the time from your busy schedule and joining us for today. And I think a lot of our audience will have some key takeaways from the session. Thank you for that. Got your YouTube channel. Any final words of suggestions to our students?
Last suggestion will be, don't stress about anything, live your life. Also, one tip, don't just come to US because your friends are doing it or your seniors are doing it or people have a charming, good looking packages in US. The life here is different. It's a struggle. And if you are ready for that struggle, it's worth it. But you should be knowing what you want to do. And you should not be like motivated or inspired just because the other person is doing it. That's what I would want to like put my final words as it. And definitely, if you want to like ask other questions to me, reach out to me on my social media or LinkedIn. I am always active everywhere and I reply to a lot of students every now and then. So if you have any further doubts, just reach out to me anywhere.
Sure. I think they have your LinkedIn profile as well, so they'll be reaching out to you if they have any. So thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope it was a great session for you as well. So I hope we meet in the future for more events, and this association is nice and good. So that's all for tonight. Do follow our Instagram page at CSEA _NIT AP for more events. This is for the students, okay? And thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I had an amazing time, and I would love to collaborate further because I love to give it back to the society. I learned it from the students, and I want to give it back to the students. And definitely, thank you for inviting. All the best, everyone, for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank
you, the NIT AP CSEA Association.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.